Hello friends, welcome back to the another video, and in this video we are going to talk about CSS units. CSS has several different units for expressing lengths, and that's where we all get confused which one to use and how to use. Should we use absolute lengths like points, pixels, or we use relative lengths like rem, m, view height, view width, or percentages? So in the next few minutes, you will get all your answers about CSS units that you need to know in a very simplified way. And after that, you can use CSS units in your projects like CSS experts. So if this excites you, then watch the complete video. If you are new, then make sure you check out my HTML and CSS crash course. I will add the links in the description below. And also make sure you subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the videos like this one. So let's get started. So I already have some HTML code here, and I will just give you a quick walkthrough of the code. I have an h1 tag and a paragraph with a class em, and I have another h1 with a paragraph tag, and I have a class of rem. So first we will understand what is this m and what is this rem, and what is the difference between the rem and m and how we use it. So what I will do, I will just give a font size of 1 EM, and for the other one I'm going to give a font size of 1 REM, and you will see that everything is same. The font size which I gave, it's exactly same which was previously it was. So what font size it actually takes the font size of the root element, which is the HTML document. So let's see what actually it is. If we go to the inspect element, and in the inspect element, if I go to the HTML and I click on compute, then in the compute, if I want to see the font size, then you can see that it takes the font size 16 pixel. That means 1 EM or 1 REM is equals to 16 pixel in this case. So this 16 pixel is the default font size which the browser usually gives. So every browser have some of the default styling, and this 16 pixel is a part of that default styling. But you can change this default styling. If I want to change this default styling, then I can change it by, I will add an HTML and I can change this to font size 20 pixel. And when I change 20 pixel, the font size is increased. You can see the font size is increased. Now, why this font size is increased? Because now in this case, the 1 rem or 1 em will be equal to the font size of its parent or the root, which is the HTML, and we have given a 20 pixel. So if I inspect now again, and this time you can see that it's 20 pixel, and our paragraph tag now is taking the size of 20 pixel. So this is like if I have a 20 pixel, and if I make it 2, then this will be 2 multiplied by 20 pixels. So now my paragraph will have a 40 pixel of font size. And if I change it back to 1, then it will become a 20 pixel again. So why we use this EM and this RAM, and why we don't use the pixels again? So what I'll do, I'll just comment this out, and I'll go back to my 16 pixel, and I'm going to show you something. I'll go to the settings, and in the settings I will search for the font. Now you can see the currently it is medium, but when I change it to large and when I come here, it automatically gets changed, because when I change it large, the default font size of the browser is increased, and if I change it to very large, it will be reflected automatically. That means it is responsive to the browser's font size. But what happened if we change it to pixel? If I have given it a 15 pixel to this, and now this is taking a 15 pixel. Now irrespective whether I change this to large or change it to medium, it will still be a 15 pixel. And this is because pixels, or the points which you give as a unit, is an absolute unit. They are not relative to their parents, they are absolute. So if you see it in on the any size of the screen or anywhere, you will see 16 pixel as exactly 16 pixel. But when you use the rem or the m, it will take a relative size to its parents. So if your parent gets changed, the size will be relative to it. What I'll do, I'll just change this back to 1 rem, sorry, 1 em, and I will change this back to medium, and I'll close this. So now we are back to our original position. So now we understood this M and rem and how it works. It works in context with the root. And in the root, you can see that if I change this to 20 pixel, then the font size now will be of 20 pixel. And if I change this to 1.5 times, then it will be 20 multiplied by 1.5, which was equal to 30 pixel. So we can use this for the border as well, or any unit or any properties we need to use it. So let me use it for, I will give a border of 0.5 pixel solid, and I'm giving a border of tomato. All right, so now you can see there is a border. So let me increase this width of the border. I will make it 1 em. And when I make it 1 em, now it is taking a border of 20 pixel. So if I change it to 0.5, then it's going to take a border of 10 pixel. So this was the rem and m, but actually what the difference between this rem and m is. So let's see what is the difference between this rem and m. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add a div here, and I'm going to give a class of box, and I will add the div closing here. All right. So now I added an extra div here, and what I will do is I will just remove this also. We don't want this anymore. We are okay with the default font size of the browser, and I will also change this to 1 rem. So now everything is same. So we have 1 rem and 1 em for both. And now what I'm going to do, we have added a box, right? So we have added a parent div with the class of box. So now I'm going to change a font size on the box, and I'm going to give it 20 pixel. And let's just observe what actually happens when I give a 20 pixel font size to the box. You can see the EM is now, the font size of the EM box is now changed, and the rem is still the same. And why is it so? So here is the difference between the rem and the m is EM always takes the font size relative to its parent, while a REM will always take a font size relative to its root, where R stands for root in this case. So the root is still the HTML document, and the HTML document is having a 16 pixel of font size. So let me show you. If I go to inspect, and if I go to HTML, then it's 16 pixel. So it is still taking the 16 pixel. And if we want to see for the, let me show you for the paragraph tag. If we go to the paragraph of rem, it's taking 16 pixel. But if we go to the paragraph tag of em, then you can see it's 20 pixel, and it is 20 pixel because its parent, which is box, is having a 20 pixel of font size. So this is the difference between EM and REM, where REM always take a relative to its root and EM take relative to its parent. All right. So now you can also specify the font size in percentage. You can also use a percentage. So what I'm going to do is that if I remove this and I give a 50%, then what will happen? Then this paragraph will take a font size of 50% from its parent. Percentage also works with the relative to its parent. So if I give a 50%, then it's going to take a 50% of its parent, which is the box, and the box is having a 20 pixel. So the 50% of 20 pixel is 10 pixel. So I can also change it to 150, and if I make it 150, then it will becomes 30 pixel. So it is the 150. So you can use percentages also for the units. And if I change it to 200, then it will become 200 pixel. Okay, let me change it back to 1 EM. Yeah. So now let's understand the view height and view width, and what is this view height and view width is all about. So first, let me get back to the HTML. I'll just comment this out the box, and now we are back. And what I'm going to do is I will just add here 50%, and I will add here 50 view width so that we can distinguish between that this is using a view width and this is using a percentage. All right. So now next what I'm going to do is I will give a width of 50%, and I'm going to give a width of 50 view width, and I'll save it. So you can see that the view width is little more than the width of 50%. And why is it so? So what you can think as when you use a percentage, percentage will always be used in a relative to its parent. Whatever the width its parent will have, it will take the 50% of that. And percentage, when you use percentage, it also includes the padding margin in it. But when you use view height or view width, you can assume that your screen is divided into 100 by 100 grid. So you have 100 rows and 100 columns, and each cell will define as one view width or one view height. So one view width is equal to 1% of the total viewport. So if I give a 50 view width, then it is a 50% of the total viewport. So the view width is relative to the viewport while the percentage is related to its parent. So now let me show you one thing. If I have this box again, and if I have a border on this box, I will give a border of 10 pixel solid. Okay, 10 pixels solid, and I'm going to give a df. All right, now I have a border, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a width of 30% to it. Okay, but now you can see that if I give a 30% of it, let me give it 50% so that we can see it a little more clearly. So now you can see that if I give a width of 50% to the box, then this EM will going to take a 50% of its parent. While if you check on the view width, it will still be the same because view width doesn't depend on its parent. It depends on viewport or the width of the viewport. So that is the difference, that percentage will always be in relation with its parent, while view width or the view height will be related to the viewport. And the last thing I want to show you is how you can use this view height and view width and when can you use it. So if I comment this out completely, okay, and what I'm going to do is I will comment this out as well. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I will have this as a height, and I'm going to give a 50 view height, and let me give a background to it. So I'm going to give a background. So now you can see that it is taking 50% of the total view height. So if I now reduce this, it will be a responsive. It's going to take the 50% of whatever the available viewport is. So even if I reduce the screen height or even if I increase the view height, it will still be the 50% view height of the available viewport. And if I want to have a width also, let me give a width of 50 view width. Then even if I reduce this, it's going to take the width of the available viewport. Usually use this view height and viewport when you want to have a complete page with the image, a single section with an image which covers your complete screen. Then you can use 100 view height and 100 viewport, and that will be covering your complete screen. All right. So these were the units we used. So let's reiterate them. The first one is the pixel, which is the absolute length. The second one is the rem and em. The EM is always relative to its parent, and rem is always relative to its root, where R stands for root in rem. The third we see is the percentages. We can use percentages as well, and the percentages are always relative to their parents. And the next we saw is the view height and view width. So view height and view width are always based on the viewport of the screen. So that's all for the CSS units. I hope now you are more clear on the CSS units and now you can use the CSS units. So if you like this video, a thumbs up is appreciated. You can also connect with me via Instagram or Facebook. I will add the links in the description below, and make sure you subscribe my channel for more videos. Thanks for watching.